In February of 2009, Hassan Diab's new defence lawyer, a man by the name of Donald Bain, who I've got phenomenal respect for, launched an appeal of the judge's decision, the original decision to refuse bail. Key among the arguments, there were a number of arguments, that Diab was aware of allegations for a year before his arrest. He could have taken off to Lebanon, and we don't have an extradition agreement with Lebanon, but he didn't take off. And also key was that the documents originally used from France to detain him, he wasn't given a translation, and under the Charter of Rights, he should have had an interpreter. Pursuant to the efforts of Donald Bain and his legal team, Hassan Diab was released on the 1st of April 2009. So that was about a year, 2 years before I'd even met him. This was all going and I wasn't really aware of it. With the judge describing as being under almost a virtual house arrest. His conditions were very serious. Numerous protracted proceedings ensued. Normally in Canada, and again I'm on a learning curve here, extradition proceedings are very short. They rarely last more than a day. This has been going on for years. It was not until November of 2010 that the extradition hearing itself got underway. It concluded with Justice Robert Moranger agreeing to the extradition of Hassan Diab, despite experiencing or expressing numerous reservations about the case. Justice Moranger described the prosecution expert's testimony about handwriting evidence as very problematic, very confusing, with suspect conclusions. But he felt himself constrained by extradition law, and despite all these reservations, still agreed to extradition. Some problems and concerns in the case. Some of these were documented in a memorandum that was sent out to you via email. One problem is the use of unsourced and possibly torture-related evidence/intelligence. Particularly in the French courts, should it proceed there. Another problem is the limited disclosure of evidence by the prosecution. We might have problems with criminal law, and I'm certainly in agreement with that, but one of the strong facts that comes out here is that in Canada, for somebody accused and tried under criminal law, you have far more rights than a suspect that's been processed through extradition proceedings. One of those rights is the right to full disclosure by the prosecution, including exculpatory evidence. That does not apply in extradition proceedings. So even though altogether there were about 6 suspects in the bombing of the synagogue, there was fingerprint and palm print evidence. It did not match Hassan Diab's, but that didn't really enter into the picture in the Canadian proceedings. Another problem is extremely problematic handwriting evidence. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Another problem is the late-breaking revelation that France may only want Hassan Diab for questioning. Throughout the proceedings, it was assumed by Diab, his defence lawyers, and presumably prosecution and the judge, that France wanted Hassan Diab for trial. It was only after the extradition hearing was completed, about 6 months later, that the French revealed that they may only want him for questioning. All along, Hassan Diab has said in Canada, I'm right here, you want to come and question me, I'm ready to be questioned. And another concern are humanitarian concerns about the treatment of Hassan Diab. Very briefly, some of the evidence against Hassan Diab has come from unsourced sources. Even the French admit they don't know where some of this evidence originally came from. Mamma mia. Evidence that normally wouldn't be accepted in Canada, the fear is that it would be in France. Human Rights Watch has criticised France's terror-related charges for their use of such evidence. The handwriting evidence. One of the main sources of evidence against Hassan Diab that continues until now are 5 words that were written by a suspect when they registered at a hotel in Paris. The first 2 handwriting experts compared those 5 words to handwriting on documents connected with Hassan Diab from the late 80s, early 90s, until the defence were able to prove that the later documents were not filled out by Hassan Diab, but by his then wife. So there was 2 handwriting experts who said this male suspect in France is the same guy that filled out these documents, and the defence were able to show, sorry, Hassan Diab didn't fill out his documents. You would think that would be the end of it, but no, there was a 3rd handwriting expert brought in. I know we're short on time, so humanitarian concerns, there's a long list of conditions, curfews, not allowed outside the house without Rania Tafali or one of his other sureties, reporting to the RCMP, etc., etc. But one of the ones I find really shocking is that Hassan Diab was ordered to wear an electronic monitoring device / GPS and to pay $2,000 a year for it. How is somebody who doesn't have a job supposed to do that? And I guess one of my functions or hopes here today is that you consult the website and consider even making a small donation. We're encouraging people, if you can do $20 a month. They're financially ruined by this. From the beginning, Hassan Diab has claimed well, first of all, he's not a Palestinian, despite often being described as that. He's Lebanese. He's a very pacifist kind of person. He's not an anti-Semite. He's against violence. He's a very peaceful man. And it's just shocking. I guess what I'd like you to keep in mind is that this could happen to anybody. And I encourage you to please pay attention to this case.
Thank you, Maeve.